Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Naughty Little Podcast. Today I'm being joined by a national hero, Marc Conway. Marc,
Hello, mate. Sweet. You all right?
You all right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Brilliant.
Good. Right. Obviously, I've asked you to come here because I feel like you've got a very interesting story.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, you've been treated unfairly in a lot of instances. And, yeah, I just think like it could be good for people to hear what you've done, what you've been through, where you are now, and like just understand a bit of your background a bit. So where are you from? How old are you, etc.?
Yeah, so as you can tell by my accent, I'm from South London.
Yeah.
A little place called Plumstead Village.
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
I'm 44 years old, and yeah.
Obviously, I know the area, same area I grew up in.
Yeah.
Now, when you're growing up in Plumstead, there's not much to do, is there, except for get up to mischief.
Yeah.
So obviously, you got up to mischief as well. When did you first start getting in trouble?
Yeah. It's always good to kind of go back to that. You know, just I would say from when I could open my eyes, and what I mean by that, growing up as kids in that kind of area, you get involved in all sorts, all kind of skullduggeries, and you know, and so you wouldn't even see it as crime.
No, that's it. It's just having a laugh.
Just having a laugh with your mates. Yeah, and you know, smashing windows and nicking a Mars bar out of a shop and stuff like that. You don't see it as crime. And, you know...
What was there on the manor, except for the Adventure Playground?
So the Adventure... You had the Adventure Playground. I was from down like Plumstead train station. We had a little one down there called Glindon and stuff like that. So it was like... But when that shut, there was nothing for people to do. You know, so we just hanged around. Everyone would say, oh, was you a part of a gang and stuff like that? No, it was just the same kind of people living in the same kind of area. Shit and swallow. Yeah,
that's it. Trying to do the best you can, right?
Yeah, and just trying to live and have a laugh in the meantime, you know. There was no, as a youngster, no real criminality going on as such, but, you know, it was just a bunch of lads just...
Doing what you're doing, it.
Yeah.
I hear you. So when did you first get nicked? When can you remember first getting arrested?
So I think I was about 13.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was for, stealing hubcaps or something like that. I mean, because there used to be a breaker's yard down on the high street, and they used to give us, in the old days, you used to be able to come up to cars and nick the hubcaps, right? So it was like plastic hubcaps. They used to give us a £5 for every set we got, and they'd clean them up and probably sell them for 20 quid. So we just used to do that all night, like. At such a young age, you'd go, you know, especially growing up with no money and stuff like that, you'd go out and nick 10 sets and earn yourself 50 quid at like 13 years old.
It's good money, isn't it?
It's good money, yeah. It's good cash. Probably earning more money than my mum was back in them days. I've never probably earned as much money as I did as a teenager in a criminal kind of setting and stuff like that, because as you get older it gets a lot harder. But I was probably about 13, and it was probably for something stupid like that. Stupid, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's gateway though, isn't it? It's like you start getting involved in things, and then
most definitely. You know, it's you look up to older on my estate. You know, as you know, like you look up to the older criminals. Yeah. If your house is burgled, you don't ring the police. No. You go to the older people on the estate and you ask about and stuff like that. And you normally tend to find that.
So growing up, what sort of people were like inspirational to you? Who did you like? Was there any? Obviously, we know. Like of the criminal type, but was there anyone positive in your area?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's my uncles from my sister's kind of side, and they always used to look out for me and try to steer me on the straight and narrow and stuff like that. But there was this burning desire to want to be a criminal. Like I wanted to be a criminal, and I wanted to do criminal things, and I wanted to hurt people, and I wanted to have everything that came with that.
Successful.
I wanted to, you know, and you know, I wanted to have everything that came with that kind of lifestyle, and you know, a good reputation, girls, money was very important to me because I had no money growing up, right? So. Being a protector force for my mum and my sisters, like, but from a very young age, I was always told I was the man of the house from 7 or 8 years old. So I thought being the man of the house was, you know, providing and protecting, which in terms it is.
As well, but being a boy and being the oldest.
Right, exactly. So I was the oldest of the family. So it was me, my mum and my two younger sisters, and it was like, you know, my sisters couldn't leave the house in miniskirts and stuff like that. It was horrible. But I thought I was protecting them and doing what a father was supposed to do.
Where did you learn to be a dad?
Well, I didn't. I just from out on the street, right? Yeah. So you look at other people on the estate and that's what you pick up. And 9 times out of 10, they're quite negative, inappropriate ways of being a father or being an older brother.
You got kids now?
I have 3 kids. Yeah.
Fair play. Well done. Congratulations. And how do you feel like you've learned to be a better dad than you were like to your sisters? Yeah,
yes, because I'm not chasing them about the estates at 3 in the morning and stuff like that, and being quite aggressive. But I still think I'm more of a warrior.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, rather than a strict militant kind of father, I worry more, and that causes arguments because you know, I think the world's a lot worse a place when we was hanging about, and then when we was young, it was bad. It was a bad place. Like the bad things happen. I think it's 10 times worse.
I think it's way worse now, mate. I think society's just gone to shit, and like no one sees it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of brainwashing going on.
Oh, massively. There's a lot of diversion tactics. Like so. Without getting too political, if you look at immigration, if you look at immigration, it divides people in what people feel about it. So that would always be pushed at the forefront.
Are you an immigrant?
Yeah, my father. So my father's from Iran.
Yeah.
My mum's English. Yeah. You know, so I've never met my father. I never knew my father. Okay. So when you ask that, then I learned I weren't from my father. My father fucks off. So it's like, you know, but if it wasn't for immigration in the 70s, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. Right. So but I think when it comes to dividing people, I think immigration, racism, I think poverty. Yeah. These are the main factors that politicians play on, because if everyone's fighting, then we're not looking at them and saying, actually, you're doing a shit job.
The thing is, mate, what I see is mad. Like, we go to work and pay our taxes, and we pay our money to the government, which in turn means our government should be working for us.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But all we do is work for our governments and abide by their rules and what they say we should do. And like, in reality, what are we getting back at this stage? What's the government actually really providing for the people?
So if you look back over the past like 15 years, and I know it was a Conservative government, I can't remember life being as hard it has for the last 15 years, like in my lifetime, not just for me, but for other people and stuff like that, right? So there's something within that, like mental health is through the roof, suicides in men are through the roof, you know, there's a reason for that. Now, they would blame it on criminality because they say, you know, the young people are smoking too much weed, which maybe there is a contributing factor to people's mental health and smoking this kind of weed nowadays, you know, so it's like, maybe there is something about that, but
there's also a lot of fucking unpronounceable chemicals in foods that there wasn't.
Exactly,
We can't point the finger towards that.
And stress.
We can't point the finger towards stress. We can't point the finger towards the fucking vaccine that they forced half the country to have.
Yeah, I didn't have it, but now
it's been pulled back. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit fucking sus.
So there's all. I think there's all. I'm very like when you grow up in certain areas and experience certain things, you become very suspicious of people in power, and I think so around my estate there was like an invisible force field, you know, which is you stick by your own. Yeah. You all look after each other. It was Maggie Thatcher back in them days. She weren't knocking on our door when we was hungry, giving us. It was your next door neighbour. She looked after each other. There was an unwritten code. You know, the only time we saw police officers was when they come and nick someone. The only time we saw social workers was when they was taking someone's kids. Yeah. Which now, as I've got a bit older, I understand there's more. Social workers. My mum's a social worker, my sister does that kind of work. So I now understand that actually they're not just here to take kids. And do you know what? Actually looking at how some of the kids were getting brought up and stuff like that. I remember being
a kid. That was a threat to me. It was like, behave yourself, I'll call the
social services. And then when you used to say, I'll call the social, you get backhander, you know what I mean? So my mum would say, tell them about that as well. So it's like, but I think kids nowadays, definitely in my day, but I think in nowadays they grow up too quick and they have too much, you know, the cost of living. There's all this shit like
it's
social media,
like what is it? The minimum wage has doubled in the last 20 years, 25 years, and house prices have tripled in the same amount of time. And it's like, how are you supposed to?
Yeah.
How can a young person under the age of 30 just without a silver spoon, without a handout, without help or crime. Yeah. How are you supposed to just be able to go and buy a fucking house?
Exactly, it's really difficult, and it's
the more money you earn, the more you get taxed. Like, there's no incentive to earn more than 65 grand to a lot of people. Because as soon as you do, you're on 40.
I've got mates that own their own businesses and stuff like that. They're signing 300, 400, 500 grand for like contracts twice a year, for example. He doesn't pay himself no more than 65,000, 70,000 pounds a year at the company, right? Because he knows he's going to get fucking taxed on it and stuff like that. And I say, mate, you're right there.
Oh, fuck, you know.
You got to keep that
in.
Fuck me. Life's really difficult at the moment, and this is why we're seeing the demonstrations. This is why we're seeing the riots. This is why we're seeing a lot of stuff on social media and stuff like that, because life's hard. And
but again, like you're saying with the distraction thing, like people are rioting, like you just mentioned, and all this is going on for the wrong reason. Like that guy, what was his name? I can't remember. He killed them little girls. Absolute wrong. And ridiculous. There's not one bit of me that condones anything that he's done. But what I will say is these riots have all been in the name of immigrants, Muslims. Everyone's saying Muslims.
That's what people think.
He was born in Wales, and his parents are Christian, but he wasn't a Muslim immigrant. You know what I mean? So like, what I'm saying is the reason you're writing is wrong, but that's a prime example of a distraction tactic. Like someone's fucking drip fed in that he's a Muslim immigrant, and all of a sudden the whole world's gone crazy.
As soon as there's any kind of crimes. But I do think that's a terrorist act what he done, by the way, as well.
100% it is, but blame the fucking right people. He's the right person to blame.
Yeah.
I don't take that away. But you can't blame all black people. You can't blame all immigrants. You can't blame all Muslims. And you can't blame all Christians just because he's a Christian. But it works both ways, no?
So, no, 1,000,000%. Even if the guy was Muslim, a Muslim immigrant from wherever, and it was a terror related, under Islam and stuff like that, you can't judge all Muslim people. Like after the terror attack that I was involved in, I got the most amount of support from my Islam mates, from my Muslim friends and the community and stuff like that.
We'll get probably on to that. There's some real interesting stuff about that.
Yeah. But you can't judge all people like the same. I think it's something like 75 or 78% of all people in jail for sex offences are white. Yeah. White men. Not all white men are sex offenders.
I know. Right? It's like, mate, the thing is, it's like all these fucking Instagram pages that are like very pro-white. There's one I mentioned, it's called Europe on Top. Now, they're just a fucking bunch of racist arseholes that refer to everyone who's non-white as immigrants. It's like, this immigrant in Italy done this to this white angel, and this immigrant in fucking Turkey. I'm like, mate, like, you don't know if they're immigrants. It could just be a brown person or a black person that was born from that country. You don't know what religion they're from, but you're literally putting videos up of other countries saying this immigrant in this country. Like, mate, like, worry about your own fucking country. Do you know what I mean?
So this is what they do, and this is what goes back to that divide and conquer stuff. Yeah. So in every war we've been involved in, there's a tactic called divide and conquer. So before we went into Iraq, Afghanistan, what they do is they go in there first and they talk to the tribes and they turn the tribes against each other and they offer loads of money. They do it. They do this on the homeland as well, right? So this is the kind of stuff. This is why people like Tommy Robinson gets airplay. This is why Andrew Chaldrian got airplay and stuff like that, because it causes division. Yeah. Right. They talk about freedom of speech and stuff like that, you know. And this is why they've gone really. So I think they've gone over the top with the sentencing. For Instagram posts, for example. Right? Even though I don't agree.
Freedom of speech. I agree. Listen.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Either you have it or you don't, and we have it. So, like, let people say what they want to say. Listen, it's an opinion. It don't matter. If I say, you're a fucking Iranian Muslim cunt, you're going to die tomorrow, you might be an Iranian Muslim, but you might not be a cunt, and you're probably going to die tomorrow. Like, my words have no conviction.
I think there needs to be regulation, but I think sending people to prison for like 2 and 3 years for a Facebook post, I think that's another tactic of dividing people, because now what people are going to do is look at that.
Filter what they post.
Well, no, but they're going to look at that and they're going to go, if that was a black person, he wouldn't have even gone to prison for that because he's white.
Yeah.
And so this is what they do, right? So it's all about dividing, and the whole country is built on divide: wealth, rich people, poor people, right?
Where do you think the largest divide is within races, religions, or finance?
I think in finance, and the reason why I say that is because normal everyday people, especially on the council estates where we grew up and stuff like that, don't matter about race and religion. People just get on.
Yeah, true.
People get on, and it's only a small minority of people.
There's a couple of wankers, right?
Yeah, a couple of wankers, right? Yeah, but you have a small minority of people. It's a small minority. The majority is normally stuck together and stuff like that. Like I love immigration because on my estate when it was Eid, people would knock on the door. I love food, man. Look at me, yeah. When it was Eid, when it was Chinese New Year, it was like an African thing, and like better pots of food. They used to get it out on the glass. We just used to yam like pork. They got the rough end of the sticks. With Christmas, we'd turn up with a turkey. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, innit?
With salt and pepper on it, like no seasoning. So they got the rough end. But I used to love it. But I think finances creates a massive divide, and I think finances between the rich and the poor, and how the country demonise people on so benefits and stuff like that. And don't forget we used to have shows called Benefit Streets and stuff like that. Right?
It's like I think one of the main issues which causes the divide in race and religion, maybe not so much religion, but like definitely within race, is classism. Like from finance, like
massively.
If you're an immigrant, but they like to say it's not based on the color of your skin, but like people that are not able to buy their own houses, like if you're in social housing schemes and stuff, like you get put in specific areas where people that look like you are also put.
Yeah, exactly.
Your education's different to people in other areas, more affluent areas. Like your education systems, your curriculum's different. Like you have to learn the same basics, but like what you achieve from school is so much different. Your quality of teachers is different. Like,
so if you look at places like Thamesmead, right, close to where we grew up, in the 80s, very racist area. Very racist. Roland Adams, if we remember these people.
I got on the fucking slave, mate. It was terrible.
I know, right? But it was like very racist. But now you go down there, there's they corner off places, and when people come with immigration, they put people there, and then they go, right, you go with people. But there's not a lot of money there. There's not a lot of money, a lot of fraud and stuff like that, right? But there's not a lot of money. But so you're right. Like depending where you can afford to buy your house, depends where your children go to school, what kind of healthcare they receive. Now, if you're in an area where you might have 20 kids in a class, exactly the same as a really posh area. Yeah, but half of these kids can't speak English properly. Yeah. So now the teacher has to concentrate and stuff like that. So they're not getting the same level of education, right? So it's about schooling. It's about walking down the high street and being able to afford certain clothes. You know, when you're right, classism is massive in this country, and let's not forget, racism way back when was an upper class thing. Yeah. It wasn't a working class thing because when the slave ships used to put into Liverpool, the Scousers, who are supposed to be really racist, and I've got a lot of family in Liverpool and stuff like that, when the slave ships used to put into Liverpool dock, the Scousers used to help the slaves escape. And then the first proper black community in this country was in Liverpool. Yeah. Just right near the dock. So what's happened is over time, it's dripped down to where people start blaming, like financial problems and economic issues on racism and stuff like that. And the people to blame are actually not the people coming over in boats and the people coming over, it's the people who go to schools in places like Eton. Yeah. They're the ones you've got to worry about the most, right? So but this is all done. This is all done through the banking system. This is all done, it's all when people are economically challenged, they look at others to blame. So actually blaming migrants that are getting put up in hotels and stuff like that is a lot easier to blame than the people who are making the decisions and stuff like that.
The thing is, whenever you have a conversation with someone about it who has strong beliefs in anti-immigration, but they're illegal. I'm talking about the ones that come over in the boats from France. I'm like, listen, the majority of immigrants in this country come from war-torn countries.
Yeah, exactly.
The countries that were torn apart by wars waged by Britain and America. Yeah. So like,
stop bombing countries.
There's no defence to any type of terrorism. This is not a defence, but it's like, my way of explaining it a little bit is, us in America have gone into their countries and fucking destroyed their countries, killed their leaders, raped and pillaged, taken all their fucking oil, left them in nothing but a fucking shit show.
Of course.
And then said, oh yeah, you can have a fucking 2-bedroom house in Barnsley, and 50 quid a fortnight. So it's only sometimes there's going to be someone who's pissed off with their current circumstance and want to retaliate. And then,
no, I totally understand that, and you're right. Like, let's stop. First of all,
I understand.
If people, the argument that I see on Facebook, and sometimes I get into little arguments, is when they say, if you hate this country so bad, fuck off back home. Yeah. And I'll go, well, hold on. They was at home until we mingled and blew their country to pieces. And, you know, they go, and then someone went, well, what about Sudan? We ain't bombed Sudan. No, but we sell Saudi Arabia the weapons to, and then we sell Sudan. When people talk about national debt, we give Sudan so much medical and medicine and medical advice and help and stuff like that. They owe us for that now. They can't pay us. It's a war-stricken country. But we sell the weapons to Saudi, who are bombing the Sudanese, and then sell them the medical. Like Britain does that, right? So we have a lot to blame. And then, you know, if you look at Colonel Gaddafi, you all right? I never lived in these countries, so I don't know what kind of a leader he was, and that we're led to believe he was a tyrant.
Yeah, well, that's what we're led to believe.
But he tried to centralise the banking system, the National Bank of
Africa,
and as soon as that would have got passed, the dollar would have crashed.
Yeah, of course. Do you know how much gold bars they retrieved as well?
Exactly.
Something like 900 million gold bars.
Well, and that was something else. When you have a central bank, you can. What he wanted to do was he wanted the whole minerals and everything that is in Africa to go to the Central Bank of Africa. Well, the powers that be weren't going to allow that to happen. No. Free healthcare, free university, Gaddafi. If you was coming on us, when you was married, you got money and a house.
That's the same with what happened in Iraq, right? And now, people say, "Oh yeah, but he killed," mate. I think they should kill paedophiles in this country. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you're a fucking rapist, you should be killed as well. Like, so what? But also, it's a different culture and it's a different rule. So you got no right to say what's right and what's wrong in that culture, because you turn a blind eye to all of the great things they do. Yeah. But if there's one thing that you disagree with or that we don't do here because we're taught that that's wrong here, then there's a massive problem.
So it's when suits, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So look at Israel and Palestine. It's been going on for 40 years. Everyone thinks this thing's just...
mate, like, half my family's Jewish, and it's just disgusting. It's appalling, and I understand it.
But a lot of my Jewish friends are appalled by it.
Zionists and Jews are two different things, but at the same time. It's
two different ideologies. But, well, Jewish is a lifestyle. I think Zionism is an ideology. Yeah. You know, Tommy Robinson is a Zionist. Right? He's come out and said it, and he denies it now because a lot of his followers think the Holocaust didn't happen and that kind of. So that's another
chat with Tommy Robinson one day.
Yeah, but you know what? I just think I don't think you'd get anywhere with it.
I don't think I would, mate. He's arrogant.
He's arrogant and he thinks he's a little bit warm and all that. And I think. He makes some points. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, nor do I.
But it's the way you go about things. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have, say a good point and then end it with a bad action.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly.
It don't work.
But the one thing I do, and people don't really like it when I say this, the one thing I do respect about him is he's got a belief system and he sticks by it, right?
It's no matter to see patriotism. Yeah, it's good, but
I don't have to agree with his viewpoint or his opinions, but the fact that he believes in something and sticks by it, that's you've got to respect a man that does that, no matter what his views are. I totally disagree with him, but it does make a lot of sense and stuff like that. But you know, he has single-handedly contributed to the turning of a blind eye of rich white paedophiles, and that's what I would like to challenge him on.
Everyone's focusing on
Rotherham and Muslims, which there is an issue with it.
Yeah, no, but there is. But every fucking country, in every culture, in every religion. But let's not forget
the BBC.
There is not one fucking Christian boy on this
Let's not forget what the Christian church done.
Okay, that's right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Catholics are the worst for getting blowjobs from children.
Yeah, exactly, right? So there's this type of peoples in all walks of life, right? So what you do is when you focus on one type, everyone's focusing on that. All the news, everyone's focusing on that. Everything goes from behind. And it's normally, this is why people at the BBC was allowed to get away with it. Yeah. We thought all that was done with Jimmy Savile and that we've just seen with Hugh Edwards.
Yeah.
and the way they tried to protect him, and the way they still paid him and stuff like that. So it'd be unbelievable to see what's going to come out next with big organisations like that, because we're too busy looking at Rotherham and looking at this. Yes, there's an issue with paedophilia in certain races and religions and stuff like that. Of course there is, but it's across the board. And so my point is, if you really want to save your children and stuff like he says and that, don't just focus on Muslim paedophile rings, or Asian paedophile rings. Focus on paedophile rings as a whole. He's got enough money, he's got enough contacts. He has enough money from America pumping in from them right wings over there. So he could do it.
Don't piss me off, because I feel like what they're doing is kind of alright, but it kind of don't make sense. It's like, like when you've got these people that are making fake profiles, the paedophile hunters, you're making fake profiles on social media. And then like speaking to idiots to try and get them to fucking speak back to you. Half of them got mental health issues and stuff like that. And it's like, mate, why don't you actually go after actual nonsense? Like,
at the BBC. Or the high-ranking ones. And the Jeff
sitting in your bedroom, like creating profiles to fucking message retards, so then they get a reaction and then you can go and hunt them down. It's fucking
because if you look at Jeffrey Epstein's flight list, like the top, the high ones. I didn't see one Muslim name. I didn't say not one Muslim name on there.
I've got a whole list of his thing, and I'll show it up in here. Actually, it's quite interesting. A whole list of names.
There may be, but I didn't see one Muslim name on there. Right, so we're talking about high level things. Like we're talking like so. This is what happens. Like you turn a blind eye to one thing to allow another thing to happen and stuff like that. So it's thinking. I don't think you would want to have a conversation with him. So I think you'd end up fighting because
so be it. So be it.
Because
you know what I mean, like, listen, I'm going to keep my hands to myself.
Yeah. But you're also good at letting them go if you need to as well. So it's like
the thing is,
you know what I mean.
Mate, I'm an absolute wind-up as well. If Tommy Robinson was sat there, I'd happily have a conversation with him. And if he couldn't take it and he got out of his chair, then I'll put him back in it. But I wouldn't get out of my chair first. I'll take it on the chin.
Well, you see have you seen like the debate between him and Carla and stuff like that? Carla schooled him, right? So it's like, but the thing is, I just think he's causing a lot of problems in this country at the moment. When he's sitting back and he was in Cyprus or wherever he was, like Nigel Farage, another one, complains about immigration. Your wife's an immigrant. He's got to immigrate. So it's very when suits.
It was happening the whole time, like with Rishi Sunak and his bird. Like obviously, like you've put restrictions on all businesses in Russia, but your wife owns a £3 billion business in Russia, and there was no restrictions on it.
So, but you know what, though? If you look at it, they're not doing nothing that we probably wouldn't do ourselves. They just.
But you can't fucking.
But you're using.
You can't preach it and like say you can't do this.
Exactly.
And then, allow everyone else to do it. Like if you're going to do it. You're smart about it. Do you know what I mean?
You're the one that makes the rules and stuff like that. So.
Right, moving on. Let's talk about. Obviously, we've gone to childhood, like beliefs, and then you went to jail. What age did you first go to prison?
So I was around 15, 16, felt them between the ages of 16, I would say. That
was about 30 years ago, wasn't it?
That was, we're talking 29 years, 29 years ago.
Then, wasn't it?
It was fucking wayward, man. Like, it was like, the first time I went to jail, you had to go to Lambeth holding cells. So nowadays, you go to court, you get in the van, you go straight to the prison. Back then, there was holding cells. So you have to go in, you go down. There's fucking massive cells, like bang, 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 and then the coach would come and pick you up from there, and then take you to the fucking prison. Mate, that was fucking scarier than the jails when you were a kid. They're supposed to keep the young people away, but they didn't. They just chuck you in and all the places and that. You'd get there was people getting fucking squatted, everything. So from the ages of probably 16 to 21, I probably went Feltham 7 times. Like it was my second.
What sort of crimes were they?
So they were more like, so when you talk about this, like what kind of thing did I do criminally, I didn't really have a genre. I was just anything and everything. So I wasn't really a smart criminal. I was a shit criminal. I got nicked for everything. It was like, I might go for driving on a ban, but then I go for selling brand as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there was all these things that, getting into violence and stuff like that, or assaulting a police officer, or whatever. But they were really quite petty things. They weren't like high-level crime that I went into in the end. And it was like, that was like my second home. I think between 1996 and 2001, I spent one Christmas out and one birthday out. The rest of them.
No. I suppose, but that's the life you were in, and it became normal.
It was a badge of honour.
It
was a badge of honour. I didn't think, and I didn't really have no one else telling me that it was a bad thing. So it was like a bit of swag about it.
Yeah, and in jail, like there's some kids that are doing birds, some that are doing short ones back and forward, and you go back and see your mates and
I was a bit like that. So
because growing up, I suppose everyone's similar. So it's the same type of people that are always going back to jail. So when you do go back,
you bump into loads of people. The amount of people I used to bump into, especially from the manor as well. Like so, but the problem is, you'd get out and you get picked up, and it weren't like, oh, here's a job application.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Here's a phone. Do you want to set a line up?
Yeah.
And your mates think they're doing the right thing for you. They don't think that they're being horrible. They think that's how we know, right? So they think they're trying to set you up and give you a bit of money, and give you a line, and away you go. And it was never, here's a job application, mate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I've got a job for you and stuff like that.
If someone gave you a fucking job application to JD, would you have filled it in?
Probably not, because my ambition to be a criminal was a lot more than my ambition to not be.
The thing is, you want 10 grand when you're 18, not working your way to a mortgage.
Exactly, right? So you don't realise about, because and a lot of that comes from not having the right guidance and stuff like that, not having the people sitting down and telling you, do you know what?
Did you have a father figure? Like, obviously your dad left.
Yeah, my father figures were really like, my uncles and stuff like that, but more the older boys on the estate and stuff like that, to be fair. And, I saw them as a protector, I saw them as a guidance, I saw them as people that I wanted to be like. Yeah. And I would have died for my mates back then. No. So I understand why the kids are doing what they're doing now, but I would have quite happily. Yeah, and that still rolls into like my kind of life, my life now, because I think when you grow up where we grow up, I couldn't watch my friend get his head kicked in and just stand there. Yeah. And the reason for that is like my pride, just everything like, and I love him, but my pride in that as well. Like if my mate got beat up and he was in an hospital bed, I better at least have beat the geezer up afterwards, or be in the hospital bed next to him in the morning when we wake up. Yeah, of course. Like there's something about not leaving that man behind, kind of thing. Don't do it. And it's in you. Like it's everyone I know and everyone who comes from that kind of has that same kind of instinct, right? So there's something about that, and it's because it's like family, and it's because you grow up in the same kind of shit and swallow. You grow up, loving the same things, hating the same things, and it's a struggle. But there's a bond.
And that's the thing, like everyone just wants to do good. Do you know what I mean? Like
everyone just wants to
know what good is.
Yeah,
everyone do your best.
Exactly. Everyone just does their best, and that's what it is. And it's about that lack of guidance. When I was younger and I used to go to school, it was the adults on the estate that would take the piss out of me about going to school. Yeah. So it's about that. Not my mum. My mum was very strict. So I remember nicking some pencils from W.H. Smith's and took them home. My mum said, "Where'd you get them from?" I said, "I stole them." And she took me back down there to hand them back to the manager and the security guard. They pretended to. I could see what she was trying to do, but it didn't work. But, it was like... So in the family home, it was a very, very strict, not strict, but it was very, I couldn't just do what I wanted to do. But then my mum was a single parent of 3 children. She had to work. Yeah, no. And in the same breath, my mum would say, "Don't do that." But she would, when the junkies used to knock on the door and the heroin addicts used to knock on the door with a meat and a coffee and that. So there was something about that actually committing crime for necessity.
It's not just that, mate.
She needed to do that.
Son. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, her son doing that. Other people are doing it.
Yeah,
I know exactly what they do.
Don't say
you're a child. Do you know what I mean?
Don't do as I do. Do as I say. So I hear that, but then that really said, like, now as I get older and I think back to them times and that was through necessity. That was, if she didn't buy that cheap chicken, if she didn't buy that cheap gravy, we wouldn't have had Sunday dinner. Yeah. So there was something about that where my underlining want to become a criminal and to commit criminal actions was born out of not money was like a secondary kind of thing. Everyone says I do it because I need the money, but actually there was a lot more what I was getting from that.
Yeah.
And what I was getting from that was, like I said, the respect, the camaraderie, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And that's why when people feel like they're disrespected and they feel embarrassed, that sometimes they go right over the top on the retaliation, right? And that's what you're seeing now.
So do you know what I mean? You're fighting technically for all you've got.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So and it's how much that means to you. So that's why now you're seeing the comebacks with the kids stabbing, 14-year-olds stabbing each other backwards and forwards. It's ridiculous. There's no real guidance. So it's like, you know, it's what life's going to be like in 20 years.
Like when I was like when I was a teenager, do you know what I mean? Mate, we'd go around happy slapping, maybe nicking a mobile phone.
Yeah.
That's it. Like obviously, you'd have fights with other kids on the way to school.
And like, stuff like that.
Fights that very occasionally someone would get killed. Very occasionally someone would get stabbed. Do you know what I mean? Like, now, bro,
it's an everyday thing.
It's just crazy.
When you was younger, you had the confidence to have a fight with someone, knowing that you weren't going to get stabbed.
And that's the thing. Like, it's a confidence thing because, like, bro, the worst that happened, I'd lose a fist fight. I was still walking into school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
we're bleeding loads.
Like, fuck it. Like, it's what it is. What happened? Nothing, mate.
But nowadays, it's not like kids are getting stabbed in school and that. So then there needs to be a real focus on
the government. Put a law out that if you get found with a knife, then you get a 5-year sentence. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Why is that not the case now?
Yeah.
Why is that not the case now? Because 5 years is good porridge to some kids. You know what I mean? Getting found with a fucking knife and getting 48 hours community service.
So I think we'll move on to it, especially with my work and stuff like that. I don't think prison works.
No, I agree.
You know, and I think there needs to, so we're very good at like in this country we're firefighters, So we're very good, not us, but the people in power, at already when things happened, in dealing with it, sending people to jail, nicking people and stuff, all that stuff, kind of stuff. Actually, we do
outside our mind, isn't it?
Yeah, but we do very little on prevention.
Yeah,
and I think that's where we need to go. We need to probably move to a public health model where, you know, people can get into schools and really work with these kids and stuff like that. And I don't think that there's enough of that. They were definitely not under the Conservative government because of all the cutbacks and stuff like that. So I think
we'll see what happens under this one.
Well, I know
there's not a lot of hope, is there?
Well, I think they've inherited a shit show, and I think it's going to take a couple of years. So life's going to be hard for a couple of years, but I have some, especially in my line of work and stuff like that, I have some hope that it's going to be better and it's going to improve.
Yeah, good. That's all you need. That's all you got in and out.
Yeah.
Right, cool. So, Feltham in and out of Feltham until you were 21, and then what happened in the early 2000s? What was it?
Yeah, jail. Like it's bigger sentences.
Yeah.
Tougher, more serious crimes.
So you're an adult now.
Firearms, and stuff like that. So when I was 21, I got 8 years. In them days, you would get got arrested with a firearm. Got 8 years. And
what was it?
It was a converted ME8 Italian police pistol. Right, they were floating about. I mean, do look antiques. What the Italian police use, and it's like they were 8 mils, but that means they were converted. So the 8 mils, they were converted guns as well. So they were like blanks, and then they was converted, and that's fucking stupid. But it was like. My crime started to get more serious and more violent and stuff like that. I started to get into more beef, started carrying a gun 24/7, and you know what comes with that, you end up using it and you end up shooting at people and you end up fucking robbing people and stuff like that. And that's what my kind of life spiraled out of control a little bit there, like really bad. And I got 8 years at 21, and then in them days you do 4 years and then go to the Pro Bowl. If not, you do 3/4, and that's what I ended up doing. So I ended up doing like 5.5 years out of that. So I was like 26, 27, gone out, went to some really good jails, bad jails, Whitemore. Belmarsh obviously my local, so I started off there. I went to Whitemore, ended up at Holden Leafold, all this kind of stuff. Been to so many different prisons in my lifetime, and it's like, I didn't really learn nothing. I don't think I was mature enough to actually. I still had that.
Do you think it was because you weren't mature enough to learn? Do you mean learn anything from being in prison or? Like?
Yeah, I just don't. Well, no, I don't think. there was, I don't think people get rehabilitated in prison. I think it's very difficult to. I think prison is a place not fit for service. Yeah, it's underfunded, overcrowded. I think they're struggling to get people out of their cell once in 3 days. You know, like I think mental health is absolutely through the roof there, and I think going into our prison system makes people's mental health worse. I think we overuse prison in this country. We send, 50% of women in prison are for under 12 months for non-violent crimes. Surely there's something better we can do there. We send more children to prison than any other European country. We, including Russia, that's saying something, right? The best way to protect the public is, yes, by sending people to prison. I understand that, especially the serious criminals. But it's to make sure that when people get out of prison, they don't commit the same offence.
Criminals.
Well, they're not sending
what we call the serious. Well, what I call the serious criminals.
Yeah.
Don't go to prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like
no, that's very true.
They get very short sentences. Like I read something the other day, and it confused the fuck out of me. It was somebody was found with, I think 20,000 indecent images. And half of them were the highest grade of children, and they didn't go to prison.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And then there was somebody who grew like 40 fucking cannabis plants, and he got 4 years.
Exactly.
And I'm like, someone's growing plants, right? And yes, okay, it's a drug, and yes, he was going to sell it, but the reason he was going to sell it is so he can have some fucking money to pay his bills. The government have made impossible to fucking pay. The other one is wanking over fucking children.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? Like, what else is he doing? Like, what's he doing to facilitate the production of those images?
There's definitely a disparity in offending and in sentencing and all that as well. And I mean, listen, we put alarms on butter in shops, and I think we send people to prison for stealing bread. Shoplifters, this is why we've got to look at sentencing in this country, because we're sending people to prison for stealing bread because they're hungry. People are not shoplifting. The majority of people are not shoplifting because they want to go and earn thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. They're shoplifting because they need to eat. Right?
So
to get money
top
to
of my road, there's a church. And every fucking evening, there's a queue from the church around the corner of people that look like me, that look like you, that look like my fucking parents. That are queuing up for a fucking food bank.
Mate.
Like people that have finished work, and it's in the evening, they finished work. You can see they're there. Some of them got their lanyards on from work. These are working class British citizens that are queuing up by the dozens for fucking food.
So there's more food banks in this country than there is McDonald's now. And it's like, at the end of the day, we so people are going to work, living in a household, and still needing to go to food banks. There's something seriously wrong with that. There's something seriously wrong with that. So they're the things we kind of need to look at. So sending people to prison for shoplifting food is absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's stupid. It's stupid. But what can you do?
Right. So
what can you do?
Well,
it's a question that needs to be answered, because then someone can actually.
But you know what? You give people more opportunities in the sense that, you control the cost of living. Like getting a train from London to Bournemouth nowadays is like you've got to take a fucking pay.
Quid. I remember when I was a kid, 16 quid.
You've got to take a payday loan out to do that shit, right? Like all jokes aside, but it's like, and then make people be able to go to work, lower rents, childcare, like make people go to work, fill up their fridge, pay their rent, pay their bills, and still have money left over. People are struggling. People going out on 30 grand a year, living in London, struggling. Struggling. Rent's like.
And that's it. Like you say, I've got a job, 30 grand a year. Sounds great. Sounds all right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Initially, and then you think about it. How much is your
average?
Rent?
Yeah, but
how much is your rent each month, or your mortgage each month? How much is your food? Like 30 grand a year. So sounds great, right? If your kid was 25 years old or 22 and you're like, I've got a job, 30 grand a year, you'd be like, sweet.
Of course, what? If
what else are you going to do to survive? Because that's not enough to survive.
No, it's not. So, and the fact is, like, the way we look at things in this country, so if I've been paying my rent to a landlord, private landlord, for £1,200 a month or whatever, £1,000 a month, whatever it is. That's just for a little one bedroom somewhere. For the last 5 years with no problems, but then you won't let me go and get a £600 a month mortgage.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad. But it's not even on top of that. Like your rent, which is your biggest outgoing each month, isn't calculated when it comes to your credit score. Like, it's crazy.
Exactly. Like, exactly that as well. So people are falling in, got bad credits and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like, so no names mentioned, but someone I know, their credit score's gone down significantly, and it like, they were like proper choked about it, like, fucking hell, my credit score's gone down, blah, blah. Like, why's your credit score gone down? Because I don't owe any money and I'm not accepting credit cards.
Yeah.
And so everything's paid off, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But because they don't owe no money and because they won't take a credit card, their credit rating's going down. And the only reason is because you have no credit account.
Exactly.
It's like, what?
The whole country's pulled on credit. They want everyone to be in debt. Right? Money's an invisible kind of thing.
Yeah. Right, so you got 8 year sentence.
8 years, so...
You've done that, you've done 5.5.
Done 5.5 years out of that. Got out.
Grey hairs and that.
Grey hairs, started getting my beard. And then life was all right, I had my kids, stuff like that. But then there was just this urge to earn money again and just to get back involved. And that's what I did.
So when you came out, you were like 27?
27. Yeah, 27.
You came back out to Woolwich?
Yeah. So I come back to Shooters Hill, I had a little flat on Shooters Hill. And all that, life was good, had my kids, split up with the missus, as you do, like I was probably in not the right frame of mind to have children and settle down and stuff like that. I still had a lot of shit going on for me, and and then that split up, and then just went back at it, and ended up getting an IPP sentence.
What's an IPP sentence?
So IPP is in prison for public protection. The best thing I can say to your listeners and stuff like that is I can sit here and talk you through it and tell you every little thing about it now, which I will tell you a little bit about it, but you'd forget it by the end of the day. Go and research it. Yeah. So IPP was brought out by a Labour government, believe it or not.
Blair.
Blair. Blunkett was the brainchild behind it. So in 2006, you could get this sentence where they would say, if you committed 2 crimes of the same kind of nature that fit under this umbrella, normally violent crimes and stuff like that, you will get this thing called IPP, in prison for public protection, and then you would have to go in front of the parole board. You get a minimum tariff, and then you'd have to go in front of the parole board to see if you was fit for release. But you have to prove that you're fit for release. Now, it was judged that probably 300 people get it. Today, over 8,500 people have received that. So what happened was the laws...
It's a 99-year sentence, isn't it?
Yes, a 99-year sentence.
Not sentence, but licence.
Licence, so when you get out. So so what happened was the judges the laws wasn't sorted out enough, so loads of people that shouldn't have got it. So you've got people getting a 28-day IPP, but it was taking them 10 years to get out of prison. So what was that?
That goes up to the parole board every time you hit your...
Yeah, every time. So what happens on that 28 days, you would go to the parole board. They would say, we've not proven that you've changed. Yeah. Because these are the laws that the parole board... Well, I've been in 4 weeks, mate. Yeah, they was like, right, come back in here. But that's very quickly they got rid of that. You could only get an IPP if it was going to be for 2 years or over. Yeah. They got rid of that quickly because they really understand. But people were getting 2 years IPP and spending 18 years in prison. So, and they wasn't getting it. So when I say to people, do you think that someone could be sentenced to the minimum tariff for 2 years and spend 18 years in prison? They go, what country is that? They don't believe it's this country, right? And they've not raped no one, they've not killed no one, they've not even physically attacked someone. A guy got a 2-year IPP for stealing a cigarette off someone. Asked the geezer for a cigarette. The geezer pulled out the cigarette, he pushed him, snatched the box of cigarettes and walked away. He got a 2-year IPP for that, 18 years. So it's street robbery, right? So he has pushed it.
But again, they look at the crime and not the details.
Not the actual details, right? 18 years, it doesn't matter whatever he done. So the fact is, how they determine your tariff is I got a 5-year, 5-month tariff. So without the IPP, if I was going to get sentenced, normally it would have been 11 years.
Yeah.
So they worked out, they said you would have got 11 years. So we halved that, and that's your minimum tariff.
Okay.
And then you've got to go in front of the parole board. So for that guy that got 2 years and done 18 years, and that's not a unique case.
No.
Right? There's loads of cases like that. So what happened was you would only get so he would have only got 4 years maximum for that sentence without the IPP.
Yeah.
So really, on his 4-year mark, he should have been released, right? But so the laws and that weren't put in it. So let's have it right. For out the 300 people that got it, I probably would have fell into that bracket still. I was running around the streets with guns, I was committing armed robberies, I was pulling them out on people, we broke into someone's ass and tied them up and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of get that, right? So, but what actually that shows that the people that did get it, like me and some other people, we deserved it. It really shows the disparity of the people that didn't deserve it and stuff like that. So 95 people have committed suicide while serving this sentence. Don't really hear enough about that. Self-harming for people, men who are serving this sentence is through the roof. It's definitely the sentence of no hope. In 2012, they abolished it.
Yeah.
So what happened was they said, you can't get this sentence no more. But they didn't do it retrospectively. So what that means is anyone that was already serving that sentence, you would still have to do that sentence. But what was happening within the prison system, and they said you had to go to the parole board and prove that you're fit for release. Yeah. But the problem with that was the courses weren't available. So they would say, you have to do 5 courses, for example. Well, there's a 2-year waiting list to get on 1 course. Yeah. And then you're sending me to a jail that, there's only 2 or 3 jails in the country that are doing that course. So I get there, I'm at the back of the waiting list. I've got to wait 2 years to get onto that. 18 months I've been there. You've cancelled the course.
Yeah, it's mad.
Right, so there was all this fuckeries going on and all this kind of stuff, and the not having no hope, not knowing when you're getting out, not knowing, every time you go for a parole board, your parents and your family saying to you, why'd you get knocked back again? What are you doing wrong?
Yeah, of course. Not
really understanding the political. People do understand it now, political landscape of it. But what's happened is, even like prison ministers have come out and they've said, we understand that people serving this sentence suffer from serious mental health, which they did not have before they went to prison. So we have created that, but now they're...
Because you don't know when you're going home.
Exactly, right.
Like you put these people on death row.
So that's exactly what it is. So it's like, so they say, we know we've created this, we've created their mental health, but now they're too dangerous to let out. So we can't let them out, even though we've created that. Yeah. So what I would say to people listening is really go and research it. I was lucky. I went to a place called HMP Grendon, which was a therapeutic prison. I could always talk pretty decent. I could always articulate myself, and I was a bit savvy on working my way through the system. And I went there, and actually it's a brilliant place, and it really worked for me. And I worked on my criminal behaviour, and every day was a therapy session and stuff like that. And it really works for me.
They've got a few of those therapeutics. They've got a Dovegate.
So Dovegate, but Grendon is the only one that the whole prison.
Oh, is it?
Is
okay.
Dovegate, you have a unit on a wing and stuff like that, and I think there's a few other drug ones and stuff like that. But it was like, so that really worked for me. So I managed to navigate through the system. So out of my 5-year IPP, I've done 8 years, right? So I was one of the lucky ones. I still went 3 years over time. I still didn't do nothing wrong, done everything I was supposed to, and still went 3 years over the time. But I was one of the lucky ones if you look back at the thing. And I was running about the streets with guns, right? So it was like, I kind of get that, but again, the Conservative government was never going to overturn it because Boris Johnson's wife, Carrie, was a victim of, John Warboys, the black taxi driver. Yeah. She was a victim of his. Okay. And he originally got IPP. So yes, someone who should have got it and stuff like that. But so they was never going to make massive reforms on it. Now he pleaded guilty to them other offences. The IPP's been taken off, and he's been given a life sentence. So
why has his IPP been taken off?
Because he got other sentences and stuff like that. So they would want to remove him on that. So the only way to fix the IPP scandals, there's still
It is a scandal, isn't it?
No, it's horrific. It's horrific.
Like, I just don't understand how you abolish something. It's like fucking saying, right, we've abolished slavery 60, 70 years ago.
But if you're already a slave,
you stay where you are.
That's a brilliant way of looking at it, right? And that's exactly what it's like. Something that the whole country now, cross parties, not just one party, not just Labour, not just all these people, like everyone at Parliament is saying this is wrong, we've got to fix this. But they're too scared to, because what would happen is someone would get out, they're so damaged from the sentence, the services are not there to help that damaged person. They'll go to kill someone. And then what would happen is everyone who's been released on IPP will get recalled back to prison, including myself, if I don't come off my licence in time. And then we'll go back to prison and then they'll assess every case again.
How does that make you feel now, though? Like, knowing that, obviously,
I could just walk
naturally you're a criminal.
Yeah.
And I say naturally because where you grew up, how you grew up, the fact that you were surrounded by everyone else who were like-minded, it's just a natural occurrence that you became a criminal. So, like, in you, it's like second nature is criminality. You know.
Yeah.
Not even that, like, that's the only reason, is because if you do commit a crime and you go to jail, obviously you change your life around. But at the same time, like, it's kind of like you got a noose around your head and they're saying, like, well, you can step off the edge if you want, but...
Yeah. So it's like, I say, being on an IPP licence, especially when it isn't just your own behaviour that can fuck you up, it can be other people's, it's like walking on eggshells. But the only difference is them eggshells are scattered in a minefield.
You don't need a conviction, do you, to get recalled?
No.
You could literally, like, so, if I went out and chinned someone and you were with me, and you're going to jail. 80%
of people recalled on the licence have never seen a judge, have never committed another crime. It's breach of probation, or their ex-partner has rang up and cause problems and stuff like that. And so what they do is they act first and ask questions later.
Have you had any issues since you've been out?
Because of my job, I think, and stuff like that. I've done really well, but I had really good probation officers as well. So, you know, and plus from when I was in my DCAT and I worked for the prison.
So you were on DCAT with IPP?
Yeah.
Cool. That's quite a rarity, isn't it?
Well,
not many people get it.
Well,
I suppose since it's been abolished, it changed.
Well, I think it's easy to get, but it's difficult to keep. So that's the difference. So they like you to go to open conditions before you release. So getting a straight release is difficult. But they tend to send you, but then staying there is quite difficult as well. So you can get sent back quite easy because your risk is a lot higher than everyone else's. So as soon as they think you're a risk, they send you back. But the person that brought out David Blunkett is a massive campaigner now to have it restricted, and the only way forward is to re-sentence everyone still serving IPPs. And the way that would work is, you'd look at their case individual, and if they've, you know, because the problem is...
So is that including you, or is that only
No, so I'm already out, right? So I'm already out. So people left in prison, right? The problem is, the cornerstone of British justice is that the punishment must fit the crime.
Yeah.
And in these cases, the punishment, you don't serve 18 years for stealing a cigarette. I don't care if you knock the fella clean out and stamps on his head, you don't get 18 years for that. So it's like, you know, the punishment must fit the crime, right? Reason why people that are serving life sentences for murder, and they get out a lot quicker than IPPs, by the way, or a lot easier. The reason why they're more settled with it and don't feel the injustice of getting a 25-year sentence is because they've killed someone and they're at ease at it. So what it is they're saying my punishment fits my crime. Yeah. Even though I think 25, 30 years is probably a bit too long, because actually, if you look at the statistics, people that serve 15 years in jail very rarely go on to re-offend. Yeah. But, you know, and this clogs up the prison system and stuff like that. But then if I'm a victim of someone who's been murdered and stuff like that... There should just be more prisons, like the therapeutic prison you went to. Like, it's just so successful. But it's very expensive, so they're expensive because you have to have all the things. So money comes first. And money comes first, but prisons are a business, right? Massively. Like, the majority of, over 50% of prisons in England now are not HMP, they're all privates. Yeah. All right? Which means they're privately owned because it's a fucking business. Yeah. And even the ones that are HMPs are still a business. Like, they're still generating a massive income for the government. But I think we got to look at what a prison's for. What's it for? To keep people off the street? Well, there's so it's supposed to be 3 strands, right? It's supposed to be for punishment, rehabilitation, and restorativeness, right? So the punishment is being sent to prison.
They've got that.
They got that knocked down. No, they smacked that. High five to them for that, because they got that bit locked down. Yeah, they knocked that out of the ballpark. Well done.
Punishment, mate.
Well done. The restorativeness is for victims, knowing that justice has been served. Right?
Knowing they're not going to bump into their offender tomorrow.
But a lot of victims I speak to say, we don't care about the length of sentence, we care about what happens to them in prisons. We don't want them to get out and do things. And the rehabilitation is for the person to be rehabilitated, so get out. Oh yeah, and then to keep the public safe is another strand, right? But the problem is, the best way to keep the public safe is when someone goes to prison, they're rehabilitated. You know, because they don't get out and commit that crime again.
They make you sign a declaration, which is the prisoner reoffender?
Well, yeah, there's a license that you need to sign. Rehabilitation Act, yeah. So,
right, so what is that, and like how does it come into play? Because obviously, like that's just very basically saying that's them putting in front of you a typed up bit of paper saying, right, I hear. Marc Conway declared that I am rehabilitated and deserve to be in society.
Well, I think it's more about signing your licence, but I'm going to be honest, I've never fucking read it. I've never read the papers that you sign to get released from prison. I've never read. I've just signed it and wanted to get out of the gate. So, you know, but it's normally just your licence and your Firearms Act and all that kind of stuff, like banned from having firearms and all that kind of bollocks. So it's like... but you know, we're not. Prison isn't doing what it's supposed to do, and this is what's causing the reoffending rates.
What's it take to make prison do what it needs to do?
Well, it takes a whole different approach to punishment. So we're using prisons as punishment. We're overusing. I
feel like we're following suit of other countries now, because like other countries outside of Europe, because in Europe prisons are famously quite good.
Yeah.
Like not just easy, like really good. Like in Iceland, in Sweden, in Switzerland, Norway. Fantastic prisons that focus on rehabilitating people. Don't have high sentences because you don't need them. Because they do work with people whilst they're in prison to make them better and make them feel valued. Because again, like what I take from this is that where you came from, where I come from, bro, like we're shit. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't have nothing and we're not worth nothing. So we need to make our own worth.
Yeah.
And there's those European prisons give people that sense of worth.
So Swedish prisons,
like you feel okay.
So like the Swedish prisons and Nordic kind of prison system is like, it is held, right? It's held up in these are the best systems in the world. It has its problems, right? So you're more likely to be sent to prison in Sweden for first-time offence and for a lesser offence than you are in this country, which would suggest you're not really a criminal. So actually, the reoffending rates are quite low because you're sent into prison, they're probably not going to reoffend again when they get out. The way they deal with foreign national prisoners is horrendous as well. But also, on the plus side, they look at it as a society problem and not an individual problem. So they give incentives. So when people are getting out of prison, if they're moving back to your town and you give them a job and somewhere to live and stuff like that, you get tax breaks, you get all these types of stuff. So there's more of incentive to think. The reason why we don't really do that in this country is because if we look at it as a society problem, then the government has to take some kind of responsibility for that, which they don't. If someone goes to prison and they get out and they reoffend, the state has to take some kind of responsibility for that also, because what they said that prisons are supposed to do didn't do, and that's down to the state. If people are not reoffending, it's down to partly, not fully, but it's partly down to the state. So it's like you have to. We need a whole new different model how we approach prison. Like I said, 50% of all women in prison are for non-violent crimes under 12 months. It's fucking ridiculous, because the rolling ball with that is some of them are single mothers. Some of them are single mothers who don't have no one to look after their child. So go to prison for 6 months and then their child goes into care. It takes them 2 years to get out. 60% of all children that go through the care system end up in prison. Or 40%, sorry, the 60% don't. So 40% of people that go through the care system end up in prison. So
it's a cycle, isn't it?
There's a cycle there that we can quite cut easy, but stop sending women to prison. Let's have sending someone to prison for 3 months or 6 months doesn't help them, doesn't help society, and it doesn't help the prison system that is overcrowded. No.
And the thing is, like drug users, like they send a drug user to jail for 6 months for something stupid, shoplifting, fucking affray, public disorder.
Yeah. And the public assault only comes with when they're sort of getting arrested and they're trying to get away.
To sentence them, which no one does. You don't sentence people to rehab.
No, exactly.
Sentence them to rehab. You must be 3 months in rehab instead of 3 months in prison where you can still get fucking heroin.
Exactly. So it's like... This is what I'm saying. We need a whole different view on how we, and that's what I'm saying. Moving to a public health model would be that. Would be you've shoplifted. You've shoplifted one. I know people from Woolwich. Come on, man. Right? 200 times in a year, you've been nicked for shoplifting. Right? You're a heroin addict. We're sending you to a institute. A locked in one, not one that you can walk in and walk out, but a locked in one, but it's a rehab, like you said.
I agree.
Right? So that you've got no choice about it. You have to go to that. Yeah? So what that does is that hopefully if 100% of people that have gone through there, if 20% of them get out clean and live a clean life, then that's surely a better way of dealing with people. That's sending 100% to prison and probably 90% of people, 95% of people are going to get back out and use again. Yeah. Right. So this is what I'm talking about, a public health model. So it's like we really need a different approach to how we look at crime. We need more interventions. We need more people getting into schools, giving children other options. We need to bridge the financial, economic kind of gap that there is in this country. We need to really focus on the future rather than being firefighters and putting things out when they've already happened.
I agree. But something's got to change for that to happen, because it ain't just like, it's not natural progression.
Well, I think we give the Labour
more money.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we give the Labour government some time, and I think they've inherited a shit show from 15 years of austerity and Conservative government, and it's going to feel hard, and they're going to make some tough decisions over the next couple of years. But I think let's give them 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah. Let's give them a second term, right?
I agree. Do you know what?
And then see what they do.
I voted for Labour when was it? 2018? Was that the last election? Yeah, for Corbyn. Because I believe in Corbyn. I believe he would have been Prime Minister for the people. I don't like Keir Starmer because he's a fucking prosecutor.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
A lot of them are fucking doghouse cunts.
But if you look at my kind of what I do, so he's just appointed James Simpson as the prisons minister. The shop, Simpsons. Yeah. Right? So he was my CEO at my old job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I didn't work for Timpson's, sorry, not Simpsons.
Oh, the shoe place?
Yeah, Timpson's. Yeah. So James Timpson, yeah.
All right. Yeah, so, I forgive you.
Yeah, forgive me. But they've just appointed him, right? Every shop that you go into at Timpson's, there's someone with a criminal record working in there. Yeah. He takes people on from roles. He gives people jobs. And so he knows about this. He was the head of the prison reform. Well, he was the head of the trustees for the Prison Reform Trust. I've sat down. I've had dinner with him. I've spoken to him on many a times. So I know his views on how to reform the prison system, and it's a totally different way. So actually, what they're trying to do, they've looked at. We've been dealing with prisons and crime and punishment like this for the last God knows hundreds of years. Let's try a different approach. If it don't fucking work, at least we tried a different approach.
Yeah, of course.
There's no quick fix to this. So,
yeah. All right. So let's just bring it back a second. And obviously, on there it says national hero.
Yeah.
Marc Conway.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've put that there because I think it's a little bit of flowers, and I feel like you deserve your flowers for what happened.
Thank you.
It was 2019, was it?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us?
So November 2019. So I have to go back a few years.
Yeah, go on.
So the Learning Together program was an initiative by Cambridge University that they would come into Grendon, that place that I was in, with like 10 or 12 students from Cambridge and 10 or 12 students from Grendon, and we would hold and we'd do a course about criminology. And it really, so professors and doctors would come in, they deliver lectures, you listen to them lectures, you ask questions, you have arguments and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then you write an essay at the end and stuff like that. And these two wonderful ladies, Ruth Armstrong and Amy Ludlow, they was the head of it and that stuff like that. And what it actually done was it broke down barriers, and it wasn't a rehabilitation program. It was a vehicle to learning in places and getting education in places where probably you couldn't get really good education. And if you, just proof, if you set the environment right, good things can happen. So that's a bit of background about learning together and stuff like that. Met some wonderful people there. Some of them I'm still friends with today. You know, it was a really good initiative and took off really well, and then went nationwide and then worldwide and stuff like that. But Grendon was the very first course. That day at Fishmongers Hall was a 5-year celebratory. It was 5 years since the first course at Grendon, and I was asked to come and speak there, which was no problem. I was really looking forward to it. I'd do a bit of public speaking and stuff like that. I was just getting into it back then, but. And, you know, and the one thing I remember about that day was just how sunny it was for November, 29th of November. It was sunny. And, you know, if you look back at some of the images and stuff like that, you see like how sunny it was. I think I had a T-shirt on by the end of the day. I
remember that summer. I was out on my jet ski in October.
Yeah. You know, it was like a mad thing. And I remember meeting my mate at London Bridge and walking across the bridge with him going, fucking hell, what a nice day. Like, they've picked the right day for this. So we get into the big hall, Fishmongers Hall at the end of London Bridge, and everyone's just in there, good time, few speeches, few things, had a bit of grub, all this kind of stuff, just meeting up with everyone. And we had a break, and we was in 2 rooms, 2 workshops. We split up, and we had a break, and I remember going, I smoked then, and I remember going and saying, I need to go for a cigarette quickly. And going downstairs and passing Jack, you know, and the other people, and going outside.
Who's Jack?
So Jack Merritt was my mate who died.
Okay. What, of the day?
Yeah.
That happened, sorry.
Yeah. So, and then when I went outside for a cigarette, I was speaking to Saskia, who was the other girl that was murdered on that day.
Okay.
And we was outside just having a fag, and they went back in before me. There was a couple of them, they went back in before me, and there was a big, massive door. And it had a door guard. You couldn't push it to get in from outside. So you had to knock on the door, buzz the buzzer, and he would come in and let you in and stuff like that. And I remember Saskia and that, Saskia went in like probably 10 seconds before me. And we finished off talking. And when we went up, I couldn't get in through the door. So I was buzzing. And I heard a commotion. And when I looked through, I see Saskia getting stabbed and that, and I was like, I was like, what the
it's not real, though.
Yeah, like I didn't realise that this could happen at such a place, because everyone there was friendly, everyone was like all about love and good vibes, and there was none of that. So I thought that, I thought maybe because there's a lot of people who've been to prison, it's kicked off, someone's run to the kitchen, has gone up, why would he stab again? And it was just all mad. And I see people hitting him, and he's turning around, he's got 2 big knives. This is Usman Khan. And I'll see it was Usman Khan. Yeah. And I see that it was him.
So you recognised him?
I recognised him, and I saw it was him, but I don't think nothing. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And I was with a guy who was the head of terrorism at HMP Whitemore, and Saskia's friend. And I said, look, get across the other side of the road. Like, something's going on here. He's got fucking knives. He's got knives. There's only one way out. Like, he's stabbing women. Get across the road. She was crying and that. What's going on? So I dragged her to the other side of the road of London Bridge, and then they came out. My mate John Criddy and Steve Gallant and that. They come out following him. Obviously, John had the fire extinguisher, and Steve and the other lad had a narwhal tusk, and we. The guy was like, "This is terrorist. This is a terrorist." I was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's terrorist. Like, this is Cambridge University. This is like, we're all good people here." He was like, "That's Usman Khan. I work with him in Whitemore." And then I saw my friend start chasing him down the bridge, and there was something in me, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier about not being able to leave your mates.
Yeah.
If my mates got murdered, and which 2 of them did, but and I didn't do nothing about it, I didn't try to stop it, and I just run the other way, and I would not be able to live with myself. And there's that pride, there's that South London thing about it. I don't know what it is. So obviously I run across the road. The guys were like tussling with him and all that by that time. I didn't really have to do much, to be honest, like, because the guys were like on him. But by the time I kind of got there, they were struggling with him and I just stamped him out, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And we just got like the knives off him and he had the belt round him.
Which, bomb belt?
Yeah, which was fake. We didn't know that though at the time.
You wouldn't, would you?
Nah, and you know, and I just remember like just stamping him out and stuff like that and getting stuff. And there was loads of people on him by then, and then the old Bill turning up and like shooting him and stuff like that, like from where I was standing to where.
So he had a fucking bomb belt, a potential bomb belt, which no one knew weren't real, and the police thought it'd be a great idea to take a couple of shots. Yeah,
well, I think I'm glad they did.
Yeah, of course.
In that kind of
absolutely,
like, you know,
kill your mates.
Yeah, which I didn't know at the time.
He's going to kill.
Yeah, he's going to kill. So I didn't know at the time he had been injured. I saw Saskia had been injured, but I didn't. It was just still in my mind. And they, yes, we tackled him, got the knives off him. Old Bill turned up. We kind of got out of the way and that. And they put a couple in him. And putting that, and the most surrealist thing about that whole thing is, like I said, it was a sunny, warm day, but it was like everything kind of slowed down for me after that, in the sense that when I went back into the building, there was water everywhere, blood. The alarm was going off, blood. People been stabbed, laying on the floor. People working on Saskia over there. It just, you know, the only way I could explain it is like, you know, when it's like a really hot summer's day and you smoke a joint in the garden or on the back green or something, you smoke, and it's hazy. You know, like just like hazy, like. And that's what it kind of, it was like a film to me, and everything had just slowed down. And
so you go into shock, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what that was, shock there. And it was only when someone said people were still upstairs that we didn't know what that meant, so that we snapped out of it, and a couple of us got like big fucking bits of wood and run upstairs and searched all the rooms, because the ambulance people weren't allowed in until the old bill was swept here, and it was all fair play to some of the police officers that, you know, even though the ambulance weren't allowed in, they said there's fucking people dying in there. Yeah. And they got emergency packs and money, which they weren't really supposed to do. Like, they had to make sure the whole thing was cleared first, but they were running and just started working on people. Do you know what I mean?
So did he act alone?
Yeah. Well, on that day he did.
How did he get in?
So he was invited. So he had done the course in Whitemore. So he was invited, and MI5 cleared him to come. He was cleared to come by MI5, and he was their poster boy for the Prevent, because he had gone down and done speeches for them. So all that weren't fed out in the inquest.
It's mad.
Do you know what I mean?
It's very mad, but it's like...
He was on a tag.
It's fucking crazy, man.
So this is my point. Cambridge University, my two friends, Ruth and Amy, got a lot of fucking stick and blame for that, saying it was their fault, right? Especially by, not Jack Merritt's family.
And the two women that started the whole foundation.
Right? But for him to be on that bridge at that event, so I'm on licence. If I want to stay out for the night, I have to go to my probation officer. They have to take it to their manager, because their manager's the one that's controlling my case as an IPP. So when you're on a licence or any special conditions, it goes to the people controlling your case. When you're a terrorist, people at the top are Prevent and MI5 or MI6 or whatever, right? The security services, they hold your file, obviously, because they got to keep an eye on that. So they lifted these restrictions. So he was banned from London. So they lifted these restrictions. They said he could go unguarded, only on his tag and stuff like that. This was a week before Donald Trump was coming. This was a couple of weeks before an election. And this was an institute like Cambridge University. Yeah. On London Bridge. Fucking hell, like, who made that decision to say that he could come? Like, that is that not red flags all the way?
Yeah, no, it's red flags all over, mate. It's just like, it don't make sense.
It don't, but there's another twist
the agencies are supposed to do all of that.
So there's another twist to the story, is what do we do with people like that when they're released from prison? Because he went for over 150 jobs, 100 jobs, got knocked back on all of them because of obviously his crime and stuff like that. People would
What was his initial crime?
Terrorism.
Okay.
Like, so, or trying. So he never committed a terrorist act. He was planning one. He was Andrew Chowdhury's boy, right? Yeah. If they would have fucking pulled it off or not. Well, obviously what he'd done.
Should have started a podcast.
Yeah. He should have, right? But so he couldn't get a job nowhere, couldn't really find nowhere to live, couldn't really no money, all this kind of stuff. So what do we do with these kind of people? Because what happens is when someone goes through that, when he was brainwashed, and everyone would say, you won't fit in this country, and all that bollocks, or whatever they say, that's all come back to be true. So there's many different questions that came out of that,
but again, I think terrorism falls in the same bracket as nonsense. Type thing, like these people are beyond help. Like, listen, there's a difference between being brainwashed as a youngster and like.
But the problem you have, you say that problem that people who've committed terrorist acts and got out of prison and never done it again.
Yeah, no.
And I know people don't want to hear it, but people who've committed sexual crimes and got out of prison and never committed them again. Yeah. Right. So it goes back to what do we do with people with socially unacceptable, high level crimes? Yeah. What do we do? Yeah. But you know, our political system and our criminal justice system doesn't have that. People say, hang on, but we don't have that. And so within our current rules and laws, what do we do with these with people that are socially outcasted?
But again,
you have to give them jobs, you have to give them something, because otherwise
are they just being put in prisons and put in cells to ride their time out like everyone else? Like if you're young and you're following a terrorist cell and you get nicked and you go to jail, then shouldn't you be fucking like they need proper rehabilitation?
Well, this is the point.
Focus on different aspects of criminality.
So this is the point. So they did. So the terrorists would have the prevent program. Clearly, it isn't working, or that didn't work in that case. So
where was he? Wood Green. Whitemore, you said?
He was in Whitemore, yeah. But he got released straight from Whitemore as well. So no DCAT, nothing, no rehabilitation back into the world. So, you know, so it raises the question, no matter how heinous crimes are that make you feel physically sick and stuff like that, we still need to do something with these people when they're released within our current laws and stuff like that.
Can I ask you a couple of questions about it?
Yeah.
Like, you said that Saskia went in 10 seconds before you. If you had went in with her, you could be dead too.
Or I could have saved her.
Or you could have saved her, but realistically, you had 2 knives, you'd have got cut.
So, you know what I mean? Like, the only thing I would say about that, the only thing that feels like you do feel a bit guilty, I think.
Yeah, but you can't feel guilty.
Like, you can't feel
guilty.
She
went in before you.
Yeah.
You finishing your fag. You didn't send her in.
No.
That's different. If you said, go on, go in. I'll be in a minute. That's like, I feel that, but like, there's no guilt on
But there were people fighting with him in there. There were people hitting him over the backs with chairs and stuff like that. And I think
And they all got cut. Do you know what I mean? Like,
a couple of people did get cut. They did. Like Lucas, I don't really know him, but he was like a chef and all that. Like, he battled it with him, man. Do you know what I mean? In there and stuff like that. And so, right, so they all got medals and stuff like that, and they should do, because they funded him.
Did you get a medal?
I didn't, no.
Okay. Did you get your IP drop?
No. So I got no rewards from that, even though I wouldn't want it, because I think...
It's not about a reward, though. Like, I'm not saying as a reward.
But it's about recognition, so...
Exactly, recognise this guy has come out of prison. Where you were when it happened, you were at a talk for fucking prisoners.
Yeah.
You've helped save people who stood outside the fucking door just before he's come bolting out.
Yeah.
And then you've helped other people who are taking him down waiting for the fucking police. You've still got an IPP.
Yeah.
You've not committed a crime since you've been out of jail.
Yeah.
You've tackled a fucking terrorist. In my mind, mate, it makes you a fucking hero, because like, what is a hero?
Yeah.
Someone who helps other people.
I don't.
Naturally, like you weren't. There was no need. You were on the other side of the road. You didn't need to cross back over and get involved in help.
No, that's true. And I think a lot of that was missed out in that kind of sense, that the people that did get kind of medals and stuff like that, the ones that faced in front on, and they was and like I think it was missed out. Like, I actually dragged the girl to safety and stuff like that, and then went back over and got involved. Like, but at the end of the day, I think one, you know, you've got to remember the Queen, Boris Johnson, all that came out straight away and said, these are the best people of us, and then looked into it and realised that I'm IPP, John Crilly was in for manslaughter. Steve Grant was in for murder. You know, like and I think it was very difficult.
But instead of like changing their mind on that they're the best of us, I realise that hang on, maybe they are the best of us. Well, maybe these are some of the best of us. Maybe some of the people in prison ain't that bad.
Yeah, exactly. So that
circumstances have led them to where they are.
So that is my point. So my point is, I ran past people filming in suits, people that you would look at and think these are really good people.
Yeah.
I think he chose the wrong venue. You chose people that were game. Yeah. You pulled knives out on people that
pulled knives out on people.
That have pulled knives out on people. What man? I go drinking in Woodies for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like there's. You chose the wrong kind of thing because everyone was fucking gang there. And not saying everyone was hard, not saying I'm the best fighter in the world and that, but I got bollocks, you know what I mean? Like, waving a knife in front of me, stupidly, doesn't scare me the way it maybe should. Yeah. I'm scared, but it don't shit the life out of me.
The reaction's different.
Yeah, the reaction's different.
My wife criticises me all the time because I've got, like, when it's in a flight or fight situation.
Yeah.
I don't run away. I can't run away. It's just not my thing.
But you know what? I've heard the most hardest people in the world. So, Joe Rogan, all that kind of stuff, like UFC fighters, all this, they all say, or some of them, they all say that your first thing is to get away from that situation. Like they all say, Joe Rogan says, if I'm ever confronted, it don't matter if the guy's skinny,
but that's
big.
Because logically, they're saying this. These are people that have never been in a situation similar to that.
Yeah,
like,
because they all
so to think about it, and you think logically, as a fucking 40-year-old man, what would I do in this situation?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter to me if it was the person next door to me or a fucking random stranger on the street or my wife. The reaction is the fucking same.
Yeah.
If there's someone going crazy with a fucking knife in the middle of the street and people are at risk. Like now, I can say I'd get my people to safety, but I wouldn't. Yeah. Like, I know that. Like I know myself. I know how impulsive I am, and it would be a similar reaction to yours. You know what I mean? Like, I'll try and make sure as many people are safe as possible, and then diffuse the situation. Yeah. But
But I think it's more like pub fights and stuff like that. I think it's difficult to walk away, but you have to nowadays because. A little 16-year-old, a little 16-year-old would stab you in the neck, and it's game over. And it's like, it's not. And someone said to me, if you just walk away for something, it don't mean that you're a dickhead or a pussy or stuff because you know you. But actually, it's knowing self-defense and knowing that you can look after yourself is more important than actually just start. If you can walk away from a situation, just walk away. I'll tell my kids the same thing. One of my kids love it.
Are your kids
back
home?
Yeah, back in London. Yeah, they love it. My 27-year-old loves it. I got twins. My boy can fight. Like he's game. Like he loves it. But he's learning now. Like. I've drummed it into him. Listen, don't care what the situation is. Don't care if you can smash their face and whatever. If you can walk away from that situation and not get in trouble and live another day, then do it. But do you know what? Someone puts their hands on you and they're attacking you, and I'm like, you do what you got to do to protect yourself. And that's it. And a lot of people come unstuck because they think you want to walk away, and then they don't realise, well, actually. You might not be the hardest fella in the world, but you can swing it with the best of them, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's like there's a part of that, and where my downfall is, again, that probably showed is if I think my friends or family and that are in danger.
You put yourself in risk.
100%, and I can't, and that's them.
What do you think?
Their criminal values from when I was a kid growing up on the estates.
What do you think would have happened if in that situation he would have stabbed one of the geezers that was holding him down and then you managed to get hold of one of his knives? Do you think... Well, basically, I'm not saying would you have stabbed him, because if you... Well, do you think if you would have killed him when you stamped him out, do you reckon you would have got nicked?
Well, I don't know, but I would have hoped not, but if he was still stabbing people and I got hold of one of his knives, I would have stabbed him. Yeah. With the neck. Yeah. I would no qualms about it. To stop myself from getting stabbed and stuff like that.
It's self-defense, isn't it?
It's self-defense.
What's weird is they don't see self-defense as defending other people.
They don't. It's your defense, you know what I mean? So the first person I rang, 10 minutes after that incident, was my probation officer.
Mad, isn't it? That's your first, that's what you think. Instead of phoning your kids,
Yeah,
Like,
or my mum.
Right, look, something's just happened.
Or my girlfriend.
You've got to make sure that you're not going to jail.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
2 reasons. I don't want my victims to turn on the TV and see my face jumping on someone's head.
Yeah.
That's quite re-traumatising for them. Like, you know, it was quite nasty. And I didn't want to get sent back to prison.
Yeah.
My police officer was like, what the fucking, ring your mum, like, ring your people, like, don't worry about, I'm good to, you know, obviously, we'll put things into place and all that. Yeah, but I'm like, because I'm IPP, and that's the fear of being. So when I'm talking about
the mental health,
when you're, the mental health side, the walking on eggshells, but that eggshells is scattered through a minefield. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Like, and you know, Steve Gannant was taken out his DCAT. He was in a DCAT. He was taken out of it and put in closed conditions, because he was involved in a violent incident, and they wanted to. They in the end they said it was for protection.
Mad.
But it was like so you know, there's so many questions come out of that. But at the end of the day, too, friend, Jack Merritt was a lovely guy. He was a beautiful guy, man. He was a beautiful guy, and he lost his life. And Saskia was a beautiful girl. And these are people that could have went and got jobs in really high profile places, but decided to work with people to help people change their life. And stuff like that. So the world's a worse place off without them 2 people.
Yeah, it's sad. And yeah, it's fucked up. But,
you know, but then again, we've got to ask ourselves, why do people want to attack us?
Yeah.
You know, like, and this is the thing, we meddle into other people's business too much. People just don't wake up. Gone are the days they used to say they just want to attack our way of life.
Yeah, and it's like, I've seen, obviously, Marc was our man R, and people went crazy about that. And I understand people going crazy about it, but then it's happened again. And what I've taken from it from the second time it happened is this. These are people from not countries, but religions of nations.
Yeah.
Where bad things are happening. So you know that in most Muslim countries, Palestine, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Yeah, they've been abused.
Like, they're getting abused by Americans and British soldiers. So these people who, the 2 guys that have killed British soldiers in England are mentally fucked.
Yeah, of course.
Like Michael Adebayo, he was
shot to bits.
And this one, but all they're doing is that it's not like you're looking at it like they've targeted that person. It's not.
Yeah.
They've seen a British fucking soldier in uniform and thought, I'm going to kill.
But let's look at the Lee Rigby case, right? Fucking horrific.
Marc,
what happened?
Said, wasn't it?
Lee Rigby. Sorry, yeah. Like, it's horrific. But instead of dealing with it after, let's look at prevention so we can stop that from fucking happening again. No one don't want our kids, soldiers, or fucking anyone dying on our streets, right? For any reason. None of us fucking want it. It's disgusting. But look at the reasons why they're doing it. And I think when we say that, when I say it publicly that we need to look at the reasons why people are doing this so we can stop it from happening, they say you're a terrorist sympathiser. This is what I get labelled, right? So my point is, if you look at Michael, I can't say Adebayo.
Don't worry, mate.
Yeah. Suffered horrific racism his whole life, for one, right? So that makes him easy to convert, right? To revert or convert, or whatever you want to call it, right? So that makes it a lot easier for him to explain. In that video, if we look back at that video, when the guy's filming him on the phone in Woolwich, right?
And he's talking to the camera.
He's like, this is for babies, women being blown up. He's probably never been to them countries. But what we're doing is we're providing the propaganda for people to then twist these people's heads.
Yeah. These things have happened.
No, they have happened.
They have happened.
But so if we stop doing that, then we don't feed the propaganda for people to get brainwashed. Yeah. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. But we won't do it. But
the thing is as well, like, I feel like one major problem, obviously you're half Iraq.
Yeah, Iranian. Yeah.
Iranian, sorry.
So same part of the world.
But my logic is this: like the whole Tony Blair and George Bush going into Iraq. Like, it's obviously
it's all political, isn't it?
Yeah, it's political, but he said that there was no proof. It's been proven there was no proof of nuclear weapons, so it was a wrong war. Now, I think the problem we've got right now in the last 5 years since that was established is that nothing's happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, Tony Blair should have gone to court for war crimes because it was war crimes. And if it was any other leader of any other nation, he would have been in court
they hanged Saddam, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They hanged him in a kangaroo court. But the thing is, but
you're going to be angry. If it's been proven that your leader has done something, destroyed a whole country and millions of people's lives for something that he had no right to do, why is nothing happening for
Well, it doesn't it's because it's who controls the world, right?
Yeah,
so
I know,
it's like,
but someone needs to be a fall guy.
Yeah,
he should be the fall guy. If he's the guy that was there to fucking say, go to war, then he should be the fucking fall guy.
Look at Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You invaded Afghanistan. You destroyed. You got rid of the Taliban for a second. For looking for a guy that wasn't even in that country. He was in Pakistan.
He was
right under your noses because so you're supposed to have a relationship with the Pakistani government.
Yeah.
Clearly, right? They was protecting him. So you fucked up all these fucking countries, and it's all around the world. And it's like,
but again, the soldiers stayed there, and on all of the military bases, you had oil mines.
Yeah, exactly.
They put oil mines in on all of their military bases, and never left when the war was over.
Yeah,
like you're recuperating your money, and which is the reason.
Well, and as soon as we left Afghanistan, fucking the Taliban moved straight back in.
Yeah, it's shit, innit? But what can you do? You can't stop wars, you see? You can't stop these fucking greedy cunts.
Well, no, you can't. And wars are about money because, you know...
And that's all they're about, isn't it? Like, let's have it right.
Well, because weapons cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people... George Bush has got hidden interest in weapons companies.
Yeah.
His family own weapon companies, arms dealers. So, you know, they done very well out of the Gulf War.
Yeah, of course.
The senior and
the junior.
And the junior, right?
So since this incident on London Bridge, which was 5 years ago, nearly 6 years ago.
Coming up to 5 years this November,
Yeah. What do you think that incident changed you in any way?
Well, I think yes, 100%. You know, you witnessed 3 people be murdered. I think that's definitely. I think if this happened when I was 18, it wouldn't have affected me because my frame of mind and my mindset was different to what it is now. Even seeing Usman Khan get shot, you still see him get shot. Like, I still see him get killed, you know. Saskia, you know, we went in, they was working on her, went upstairs, come back down, she had a cover over her head. Like, you know, it was that quick that she died. So it was like... You know, and then Jack, no one could find Jack. You know, he'd gone. He'd tried to get out of the building and
just collapsed
stuff like that, and collapsed. And got, you know, and so that has a massive impact on the way that you kind of look at life, and really how you approach things and stuff like that. But for me, instead of having hatred against the whole of Islam, like people would want you to and stuff like that, you know, like I said, the most kind of love I got was from my Muslim friends and family, and I think
you're half Muslim.
Well, but I don't know that side, but I have cousins and family members that are Muslim, so you know. And I know that one act doesn't represent a whole kind of people, right?
So the people think that, though. And the first thing people say is he's Muslim. Like, what country was he from?
England, but his parents were Pakistani.
Okay,
right. So he was born in England, right up north. Again, where there's horrific amounts of racism. So it's like we need to really, if we want our children to stop being murdered on our fucking streets and our mates and our family and our loved ones, we really need to address it now we're fucking about with other people's countries, right?
Yeah.
Like we create a lot of the problems ourselves. Yeah. You know, if you look at the IRA, people, you know. We fucking overtook their country and controlled their country. Yeah. But the reason why they started rising up was because when they was having elections over there in Northern Ireland, they was like, if you're from one side, I think it's Catholic, you can have what side?
Protestants or IRA.
Protestants or IRA, yeah. So if you've got a household of 4 Catholics, that's 4 votes. If you've got a household with 10 Protestants, that's 1 vote. So they wanted 1 vote, 1 man. Yeah. But if you're Catholic, or whatever one it was, right?
Per household.
Yeah. So the one or whatever it was, I don't really understand, but I know quite a little bit about that. So again, we're oppressing people, and oppressed people rise up.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we throw the term terrorist around too lightly. So Emily Pankhurst, who was the suffragette leader, would we call her a terrorist?
I would.
Yeah. They blew up buildings.
Yeah.
They went on a 2-year bombing of London.
But again,
they killed an MP. But no,
slightly understanding that terrorists are only brown and black people.
Right, exactly. So this is my point, right? So we would never say that the suffragettes were a terrorist organisation, but they had a bombing campaign in London for 2 years. It's the same as the
IRA are terrorists, but like they have a cause, and we understand their cause.
We understand their cause.
Because we come from a fucking a Christian nation, so obviously
we understand
relate to it a little bit.
But we understand that every person should have a vote. We understand that you shouldn't be treated a different way and can't get a job, and so we understand why people rise up, right? People just think it's about an occupation of a land. No, it's about how that occupation that them people are being treated. You know, people used to call this government, and on our TV. Used to call Nelson Mandela a fucking terrorist. We wouldn't call him a terrorist, nah. So my point is, oppressed people rise up. When people are oppressed, they rise up. This is why you see the crime and all that in our council estates. Yeah. People living on our council estates are oppressed, economically oppressed, the finance, like everything, like that kind of thing. The way that they're treated by the law, you know, like. Again, Katie Price has just been nicked and got off again. Like, for example, I'm not saying send her to jail, but I'm saying how many because I know if that was Julie living in Woolwich, she'd been in jail fucking 10 times ago. So this is the point. This is the point that the unfair society creates division, and when people are divided, they don't stick together, and then one side is always oppressed to the other, and then people rise up. What they've done, if you look with all these riots and all that at the moment, both sides feel oppressed in one way or another. So their people are rising up. Yeah. No matter what side you set. So it's about the ideology and the mentality rather than the action.
Well, I feel like the Prime Minister is supposed to, I'm not saying he is and he's responsible because, whatever, but the whole deal of having a leader of a nation is that person is supposed to be the middleman and gets out there and says, listen, stop this and stop that.
Yeah.
Both of you bang your heads together, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What are you doing?
No one's banging heads together. He's like, nah, you're all going to go to jail if you carry on. Like,
Exactly.
Address the fucking issue.
That's my whole point. Stop being a firefighter. Be a nanny. Be a nanny and prevent.
Because in reality, like, kids are getting worse, right? Everyone either stuck to their fucking computer screens or killing each other.
Yeah.
Kind of ain't much middle ground.
Nah.
So the children are the future. Yeah. What does that say about the future?
Exactly. It's worrying and troubling. Really and actually, I was someone that was saying, I'll never leave London. Never leave London. I love it. I'll never leave London. Ended up moving down to Bournemouth.
Would you move back?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to live, but I really like it down here in Bournemouth and that. It's calm, it's chill.
Life, isn't it?
We took the dog for a walk along the beach down there last night. It was beautiful, right? It's just, but I'm getting to the point where I'm saying I want to leave England.
Yeah, same.
I want to go and live somewhere else for a better, just more chilled out, relaxed life. And I want to go and live on a beach somewhere. And I know that's everyone's dream, but I was someone who said I'll never leave London, never mind leave my country. I'm proud to be British. I really am. I'm proud. I think we have some brilliant values. I'm not proud of the people in power. I'm not proud of the people that are sent to divide us and giving their time to do all that. But I'm proud to be British. I'm proud of my country. I'm not proud of the way it's going.
What makes you proud about your country?
I love values from maybe our old school values. I love immigration when it's controlled. I think it's brilliant.
I agree. It's got to be controlled.
Yeah. Immigration's got to be controlled. Of course it is. Yeah.
Both agree that immigration should be controlled.
It should.
Like, not just
because the infrastructure don't work.
Should be allowed in.
Right. Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, but like, and I suggest the same in other countries as well. Like, people don't look at it. Us as being immigrants, we move to fucking other countries all the time. We're just talking about
but what are we called?
But we're not called immigrants.
We're called expats.
Why?
Exactly, because of our appearance. Right. So the fact of the matter is, within that, it's when suits.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. It's a when suits situation, and the fact of the matter is, I love the way that I love our freedoms, I love all that, even though it's getting shut down a little bit and stuff like that. But what makes me laugh is the person in the pub who goes, criminals, we shouldn't let criminals in this country. And I go, you've never worked a day in your life, you sell drugs and smash people's heads in. Yeah. You're a criminal. So then how can I sit there and say...
All these guys protesting as well.
Hey, why
aren't you at work?
Yeah.
Why aren't you at work?
Right, so this is my point, right? So this is my point. You can't say that they're coming over and nicking our jobs. Because let me tell you got rid of immigration. The NHS is already... The NHS has over 30,000 vacancies, right?
But again,
you don't want to go and clean toilets.
The problem is...
You don't want to fucking go and be a porter.
Yeah.
You don't want to wipe blood up. But there's jobs there. Yeah. But I'll tell you who does. The foreign guy would come and do that, right? So that actually, if we got rid of all immigration, got rid of everyone in this country who's an immigrant and all that.
Yeah, dad out there washing his car on a Sunday morning.
Well, exactly, right? I mean? But my point is, this country was built on immigration. Yeah. Even if it was us raping and pillaging other countries and bringing the spoils of war back, yeah. But after World War II, this country wouldn't be what it would be if it wasn't for the Windrush movement. Mm-hmm. They done the public service jobs. It was the West Indian
and that's
people.
The problem, no one understood it. It's like World War II. There was not many men left in England. There was men, but they weren't like. Do you know what I mean? It weren't a full population.
No, the workforce was fucked.
So you had Caribbeans and Indians come over to do the jobs.
Who had fought for this country as well, by the way.
2 million Indians.
Something ridiculous had fought for this country.
Of course, but they brought them in to this country to fill the gaps in the jobs.
Yeah, working on the buses, working on the trains,
doing the cleaning. On the bus. Yeah, the bus conductor. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Men and women from other countries come and done it. Right. And it was done.
In the NHS, in the police force, by the way, all these types of stuff. So and it
was to take the labour jobs. So then, realistically. Everyone else can step up.
Well, it was 100%. So that's what happened, right? They took the jobs where people could step up, but what they did is it come down to when suits. So people that they appreciated more. So people from Asia and India and places like that went through special training to become doctors and nurses and all this kind of stuff, right? When the people from the Caribbean, so the people that were slaves and were born out of slavery and stuff like that had to go and clean the toilets and had to go and work on the underground. So there's nothing wrong with them jobs. I'll tell you what, working on the underground nowadays, you get a fucking lot more money than I'm getting paid. Yeah. Right? Let me tell you, they earn a good wage. But my point was, back then it wasn't seen like that. So all these people who are in saying they come and nick our jobs, they go, I can't even get an ass. I can't even get a job. Listen, social housing isn't a God-given right. No. Social housing is there for the people that need it the most. If you're 40 years old, sitting about, doing whatever you're doing, you can go out to work. You can go out to work. You can go and save up for a mortgage.
I know it's difficult. This country because your country's been destroyed and there's no economy, and now you need to come here. And you can't speak any English. Exactly, you're going to struggle to get a job, so you might need that.
So exactly, right? So there is immigration needs to be controlled. Yeah. Right? I don't, obviously, because the infrastructures are not there and stuff like that, and I understand why immigration needs to be controlled, but I also understand that we create a lot of illegal immigration ourselves through fucking going and blowing up people's countries and stuff like that.
I agree. What do you do for work now?
So when I first got out of prison, I was working for an organisation called the Prison Reform Trust. Mm-hmm. They are a pressure group, social justice kind of charity for prisons. Mm-hmm. So we try to reform prisons. That's what it is. So I would do a lot of that kind of stuff, going into prisons, getting ideas and stuff like that. After 5 years there, left on really good terms, brilliant people. I set up my own thing. I'm in the middle of kind of still doing that. Yeah. It's kind of setting up. So I do a lot of freelancing work now, consultancy work. I consult government agencies, people, employers and stuff like that, how to best work with people with lived experience. I believe that when governments write policies about prison and stuff like that, the people living in there should have a say. Yeah. So I think any policy that is written isn't worth the paper it's written on unless it has the voices of the people who are going to be governed by that policy running through it. Yeah. So, like I said, if the government brings out a policy, I'll go into prisons, I hold groups, I get prisoners' voices running through that, how best to run prisons and stuff like that. I think the best way you can create change, you can create fairness, is the people that's going to be affected by it having a say. You know, and I think politics and stuff like that in this country for too long didn't do that.
How do you think you will be able to effectively help prisoners and prison reform going forward?
I think by that, I think if we give prisoners and people involved with the criminal justice system a say, you know, a lot of people feel like they're... So how many times have you heard, I've got a criminal record, they're never going to give me a job?
Yeah.
Millions of times, right? Because people truly believe that. Rob, yeah? People truly believe that. And
you know what's funny to me, though? Like, thieving is probably the stupidest thing like, to go to jail for, to get a criminal conviction for. But I'd rather employ a murderer than I would a thief.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like...
But it's going back to James Simpson. So James Simpson was like, I've never had to sack one of my people with criminal convictions for dishonesty, i.e. theft and stuff like that. Because they know if something goes missing, they're going to get blamed straight away. Yeah. He said, I've had to sack loads of people with criminal records who stole thinking the thief was going to get blamed.
Yeah.
Right? So there's sometimes it's about creating an environment for people to then flourish. But voice people who say things like, they're never going to give me a job because I've got a criminal conviction. They don't feel like their voice is valid, so they're voiceless. So what I want to do is try to give a voice to the voiceless people. Yeah. That's why I do with my work. So but I want to create an environment and a process and a situation where voiceless people don't need people to speak for them. It's already there. The things are in place for them to already be heard. Yeah. So it's real social change and I think the time's right for that. I think there's.
Do you do much work with the prison ombudsman?
The PPO. Sometimes not much. I know the team down there pretty well. Yeah. A lot of my work involves going into prisons, writing reports. Yeah. A lot of my work involves going to government agencies and consulting them how to work. Got some big work coming up. A lot of my work is about just making sure that lived experience kind of voice and that lived experience.
And what's your objective?
For fairer society, just so people ain't trodden down and people don't feel like the only way they can get out of council estates is by theft and by criminality and stuff like that. I want people to know that, you know, in life... You have
to work twice as hard, but you can do it.
Yeah. You know, you have to do it and you can't give up. And I truly believe that the best way to keep everyone safe and the public safe is by making sure that people are rehabilitated whilst they're in prison. I've seen both sides of it. I've seen the rehabilitation side when it works well, and I've seen the side when it doesn't. And the side that doesn't was the side that allowed me to come back to prison 10 times.
Can I ask you one more question, just while we're on this one, just popped into my head? Do you feel like you're rehabilitated?
Yeah, I do, but I think a lot of it is a day-by-day kind of thing, I'm going to be honest.
Well, circumstances could change.
Well,
like if someone hurt your children or grandchildren.
Yeah. I think I would find...
But that's a natural...
If someone hurt my children or my missus or something like that, I'd find it very hard to ring the police. And I'm honest about that. But I think...
I felt like a snitch, mate. Someone nicked my car and I had to phone help.
Yeah.
It felt horrible.
Yeah, but you need your car, right? So, yeah. But my point is, you know, 95% of the country would ring the police if their car was stolen.
Yeah.
90% of the country would attack someone if someone was attacking their missus. Yeah. So, you know, it's not about criminal values, it's just about values. And I think what's really important is that we create a society where people feel like they have a voice, firstly and foremost. And I think we need to really work towards. So a lot of my work is based around that. I think once I was given a voice through the Learning Together program, that really allowed me to find my voice. Through my work I did at Grendel and through my work that I do now, and there's something in that because I've never been back to prison. I've been to prison 10 times. That revolving door, that was me. So there's something within that. Yes, I've matured. And I'm a bit older now, and prison's a young man's game. I definitely can't be wrong about them landings and all that now. But my point is it's really important to make people feel valued and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I could walk out of here now. I could get into a car crash, and and someone could jump out and start attacking me, and I go and defensive mode, and he falls over, hits his head on the rock and dies. Then I've got to face. But my point is that I'm not out there actively looking to cause harm anymore. And to my indirect victims, I don't want to cause harm to my mum, my sisters, my children and stuff like that.
Have you done I suppose, did you have to do victim apologies as part of your thing?
Yeah. So my victims didn't want to know, but I'd done the victim awareness courses and stuff like that. And I was going to sign up to restorative justice and all that kind of stuff, but my victims didn't really want to know that. Yeah, but it is what it is. I understand.
You've done your reasons, you know what I mean?
I understand.
You try to make amends, and if they don't want to, that's fine. They've gone with their life. And it's not a situation of...
and it can be re-traumatising for them as well and stuff like that, which I wouldn't want them to do, so...
Fair. I get you. Anything else you want to talk about, any touch on?
Nah,
anything coming up you want to discuss?
It's been a good talk. It's been a good talk. I would advise your listeners to go and really look up the IPP, we're trying to push through resentencing, but that would... Politicians make decisions on votes. So more people, members of the public...
Is there a petition out at the moment that people can sign?
So there's a really good group that I do some work with called UNGRIP.
UNGRIP, I'll put
They fight for prisoners' families and IPPs and stuff like that.
Okay.
If you go onto their website and stuff, you can, it'd be good if you can donate. They're a volunteered group and stuff like that as well, or just read up about it.
UNGRIP.
It's called UNGRIP. UNGRIPP.
So IPP. I get it.
Okay, all right. So I'll do some work for them, but they're a fabulous organisation. But what I'll do is I'll send you their details and stuff like that. Anyway, their emails.
I'll have it up. Well, that's about it, really.
Cheers, mate.
For today. Thanks for coming on, mate. I appreciate it.
Cheers for that.
Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
Sweet.